Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Paul Tobey here from That's Ambitious. Thanks for joining me on this Monday morning. Got a couple of people hanging out with me. Hi to Andrew and Yvonne, and perhaps a few others will join us momentarily. I wanted to share with you a little bit about YouTube this morning because I know that video is a very important strategy in a lot of the things that we're doing. And if you're trying to gain more followers and more listeners and you're trying to share content, it's sometimes difficult because, of course, there's a lot of competition and a lot of noise. So cutting through is one of the things that you have to consider when you're posting YouTube videos. Now, I must confess that I have not been the best at this in the past. I have had some videos that had a few 100,000 views, but lately it's getting harder and harder. So I had to start researching new ways to reach customers, and I had Nancy do the same thing, and we came up with some neat little strategies that seem to be having an impact on the number of subscribers and the number of listeners to the videos. And basically, the more views you get, the more followers that you're going to have, or the more subscribers you'll have to your YouTube channel. And of course, the more information you share that's actually relevant and helpful, the better it will work. So just let me know if you have any questions or comments throughout this thing. It's a little bit technical, but not that difficult. Certainly not something that anyone here can't handle. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is there's an extension for your Chrome web browser called TubeBuddy. And basically, if you just, Chrome extensions, and then when you get there, just search for TubeBuddy. And it's basically a YouTube extension, but it installs inside Chrome. And it's very, very helpful. So basically, just get that, install it as an extension. I'll show you how it works in a minute. But basically, all search, as far as YouTube is concerned, everybody knows that Google is the biggest search engine. How many of you were aware of this fact? But actually, the number 2 search engine is, I think, Twitter still, and then YouTube is like number 3. So search in YouTube is all based on what you put up here. So if you search for how to play the piano for beginners, essentially what shows up is based on keywords. And TubeBuddy is a helpful plugin to help us understand how that whole process works. So just to draw you a bit of a diagram, and to understand search in general, it's all really based on keywords. Let me grab something to write here with. And it's not loading quickly. Come on. Andrew says, great topic. I do think it's a great topic. It's very timely in the sense that a lot of us are making videos, and it's a lot of work to do that, and getting people to watch them is a lot harder than actually making videos. So I'm making a lot of videos, obviously, for That's Ambitious. I'm making lots for Jazz Mental, and so we really need to come up with some new strategies on how to do that. But basically, the number one rule is you've got to find appropriate keywords based on 2 things: the number of searches. Basically, this is the same as Google, number of searches versus the level of competition. And typically, how many of you have done SEO on your websites and you've used a tool like Market Samurai or any of the other SEO plugins to kind of figure out, well, what keywords, how can this thing help us search keywords and at the same time tell us how many searches and then the amount of competition. So that's the most important thing. And then once you have that information too, in YouTube, it's really the optimization part on a web page is very different than YouTube. For example, a web page is title, URL, description, H1 tag, and we have stuff about this in That's Ambitious, and then the content, and then alt tags and how you do certain things. So that's basically a web page. But what about YouTube? How does that actually work? So YouTube's a little bit different. YouTube is also in the beginning based on title, and then you can't really change the URL because that's handled by the title, and then the description is really just the content, or in this case, right there. So content. But also in the video itself, there's text recognition, or sorry, speech recognition, which I didn't know until recently. So the best thing to do is when you start your video, say today's video is about, and then name the keyword phrase that you're trying to rank for. So that's a pretty neat idea. So how does this all work? Well, let's go take a look at, and I'm going to just bounce to my channel here, and let's go take a look at an older video that's no longer, say, getting lots of views. So, or never had lots of views. So here's a older video that had like 36,000 views at one time, but it hasn't done a lot recently. And that's because part of this strategy that I should really write here is consistency. So what YouTube wants is it wants you to continue to upload new content. And if you stop posting content, videos that had a lot of views stop getting views. So I think the recommendation here that I would say is, at least twice a week. And I know that's a bit of an undertaking for some of you, others not so much. But a couple of times a week is probably a good strategy to do. So Lucy, I don't see, oh, Lucy Rizzo says this stuff is what? That's weird, I can't see your comment. It popped up, but then I can't see it in the actual feed. Oh, maybe it was just a thumbs up. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So really the point is you got to post content on a regular basis, and it doesn't have to be long videos. I think anything 5 minutes or less, as long as it's valuable, should really do the trick. So let's say I posted a new video, or I want to optimize an older video because it really isn't getting any views, or at one time it did. So here's how the process works. Basically, take a look at the content you want to share. And this is not a great title. So Linus and Lucy theme from Peanuts by Paul Tobey. Well, we all know that Paul Tobey is not a search term, so it probably shouldn't really be in the title. So how does TubeBuddy work? Well, you can see up here, it's installed in my browser. And what you want to do is just go up here and then type the content that you want to rank for, in this case, Linus and Lucy, and then you take a look at all of the suggestions. All of these are search terms that are popular in YouTube. And if, let's say you went to piano and you went further than piano, it would show you all of the search terms that are there. So Linus and Lucy, piano live. Okay? And then once you sort of figure on, well, that's a good search term, it represents my content, then you go over here on the right-hand side and there's a button called Show Keyword Score. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. So what it's doing, it's basically saying that the amount of searches for that particular phrase is in the poor category. I think the search volume should at least be in the orange area and perhaps even the yellow area. As soon as you get into the green areas, you start to get a lot of competition. But if you take a look, even though the search competition is poor, the actual competition for that keyword phrase is very low. So green means good. So, sorry, let me just, good. I should probably maybe use a green pen to actually do that, or let me underline it like that. So the overall basically search volume basis versus competition is fair. So I like to get at least to the good. So I'm going to leave that search term for now, and I'm going to go try another one. So let's go back to Linus and Lucy piano, and let's try sheet music, because I do have sheet music for that as well. Show keyword score. So now I'm in the good category. So the search volume went up a little bit, and the competition also got better. So that's pretty cool. I would think that as long as you get to good, and if you don't know where I'm looking at, I think it's evident, but let me just make sure. This section right here, basically, good means, hey, go ahead, it's probably a decent search term. And so what you want to do then is you want to take that keyword phrase and you want to do a few things. So let's go back to the video. Copy the keyword phrase. So then I want to go and edit this video. And I'm going to immediately just change the title to that. And I might want to capitalize these things. And then do the same thing here and include that keyword phrase a few times. And then I'm not going to write out the entire description, but I would say you've got 5,000 words available to you. If you used, say, 500 or so, so a couple of paragraphs would be a good start using the keyword phrase a couple of times. Okay. The other thing is in the video itself, if you can somehow introduce it with voiceover or some type of recording and put Linus and Lucy piano sheet music in that somewhere near the beginning, that would be great. And then the next section, and this is really poorly done down here, you can see that all of these tags were generated automatically, and these are not good tags. So the tags is kind of important, and what you want to do is TubeBuddy can actually give you suggestions by, how does this work here? Double clicking on them, and it kind of tells you whether that keyword phrase is good or not. So that's really a poor keyword phrase. So piano. Also poor. But basically what it's going to do is if you double click on each of these, it's going to give you suggestions on content that you can use. And I would suggest that you have about 8 to 10 keyword phrases that represents that content. So it could be things like piano tutorial or piano sheet music or anything that's sort of related to that video, because that really helps in terms of search as well. And then once you have your video ready to actually post, let's just click and save these changes. Then when you get to the end of the video, there's a couple of things that you must do. So when you get down to like the last few seconds, it's a good idea in that video to do a couple of things. Let me shut this. How do I turn this off? Okay. So these last few seconds of the video, you might want to say the following things. So let me see if I can find my whiteboard again. Let's go back here. So in the last few seconds of the video with your voice, do a couple things. One, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. That's the terminology for YouTube. It's not likes, it's not followers. It's basically, hey, give it a thumbs up. And then two is if you like this video, if you want to see others, subscribe to the channel. Okay. And then three, at the end of the video, one of the things you might want to do is link to other videos in your channel. So other videos in the same topic in your channel, not to other people's channels. Okay? So link to playlists is probably one of the best things. So create a few playlists of videos like Linus and Lucy performances or things to do with sheet music, if that makes sense. And that's and there's more to it than that, but that'll get you going, and that's a good start. In fact, that's probably 90% of it. There's other things that you can do, like post on Facebook and Twitter and things like that to get you more views, but this is the stuff that's specific to YouTube. So I'm wondering just quickly, at this point, are there any questions or comments about what I'm talking about? Because I really don't have anything more to share than that. I could maybe give you some video recording techniques or tips, but essentially that's, TubeBuddy is just a great little resource for you to do your search and competition analysis. So are there any questions? And I'll give it 30 seconds or so to see if you have any. So Ramona says, hey, thanks, great topic. This is what I need to know. You're welcome. The other thing too that I should point out while we're waiting for some questions to come in is that if you install TubeBuddy, it actually has some video tutorials, which are pretty cool, that you can look for. There is a free and a paid version of TubeBuddy. I think in the free version, it'll give you suggestions for tags, but only 3, where the paid version is kind of unlimited. So I believe that, one single license is only like $10 a month. So Ramona says, I'd be interested in recording advice and tutorials in the future. If you actually look in That's Ambitious, I'm not sure if you've reviewed this video yet, Ramona, but there is a course called Video Content Creation. So I'm not sure if you reviewed that yet. I'm going to grab the link to it and just put it in the channel here. So it is available as members to go and review that. So that's a great place to start if you're looking for more advice and tutorials on how to record your videos. So just going to wait to see if there's any other comments or questions. Okay. Well, there doesn't seem to be any other questions. That means either it's a really boring topic or I did a great job of introducing it and nobody's thinking of anything else. So that pretty much ends it then for this Monday Motivator, and I hope you had a good time. As always, the video will be readily available in the Facebook members area. And one of the things that I think we're going to be doing is taking those videos and posting them on YouTube as well with these optimization rules in play. So that's could be helpful to get us some more listeners and some more traffic. So thanks everyone for your time. I really appreciate it and have a great day.
Hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, go subscribe to the channel, and get out there and be ambitious.